Hello once more. This is Dr. Armin Segara on part 4 of the physiologic form of the teeth and the periodontium. We have discussed already the first three physiologic tooth forms. We will now discuss the fourth and fifth physiologic tooth form. The fourth physiologic tooth form is the labial and buccal contours. These contours are, we call them the bulges or the extreme convexity. So that area of extreme convexity or the greatest bulge of a tooth, that is what we call the facial and lingual contours. So that those the greatest convexity at the buccal and lingual or facial and lingual contours of the tooth, that is the physiologic form that we are talking about. That contour deflects the food from um, stripping the gingival crevice, thus protecting the attachment of the gingiva to the tooth from injury. Now, that is called also cervical bulge, cervical ridge, and it can also be called height of contour and crest of curvature. But as we will observe, not all of this crest of curvature is found on the cervical area. In some areas of the teeth, it's found towards the middle third of the labial of the lingual area. That's why the best terminology for this will be the height of contour or the crest of curvature. Looking at the labiolingual view of a tooth, that area where the curvature is the greatest is called the crest of curvature, and normally, as I said, normally and usually, it is found on the cervical third of the labial and lingual surface of teeth. Now, because of the curvature, because of the angulation of the mandibular teeth, the crest of curvature on the lingual teeth, on the lingual surface of mandibular teeth, is more towards the middle third of the middle third of the lingual surface. The size of the curvature can be just slight, like 0.5 millimeter on the buccal and 0.5 millimeter on the lingual, but that will be enough to, as I said, to deflect the food, a bolus of food, away from the gingival attachment, thus protecting it from recession or from getting stripped. Drawing a line at this diagram, as you can see, on the grid curvature, you can see how they really are and where they're normally found. As I said, mostly on the gingival third or cervical third of the labial and lingual surface of teeth, with the exception of lower premolars and molars, wherein they are more found on the middle third of the lingual surface. So, I already mentioned it, but what is the function of the crest of curvature? So, as it says here, those contours, those bulges, deflect the food material away from the gingival margins during mastication. In so doing, it protects the marginal gingiva, which is very fragile, from the trauma that can result from the food sliding down the gums. Um, Thus, it prevents premature recession of the gingiva, and it also prevents food from getting packed in the gingival crevice. Food when food or debris gets packed in the gingival crevice can cause inflammation, gingivitis again, which can cause other things like periodontal pockets and other the pathologic reactions. A tooth which is under contoured, wherein there's no cervical bulge, for example, the food gets the food is directed towards the marginal gingiva, thus stripping it and causing trauma. Now, this will cause gingival recession faster. On the other hand, if the bulge was over contoured, the bulge was too much, okay? So instead of well, it deflects definitely the food away, but because of that, there's no massaging of the gingiva. Plaque can accumulate in those areas and can lead to gingivitis and eventual caries because that area is not self-cleansing. We will show some examples of this again in the fifth part, which is about the clinical examples. The fifth physiologic tooth form is the curvature of the cervical lines on the mesial and distal surfaces. So now looking at the mesial and distal surface of each tooth, we observe the junction, the cemento-enamel junction, and in those areas, mesial and distal, it is normally curved. Look at here in the first row of teeth, the central incisor, there is a curvature on the mesial surface of the central and lateral and canine teeth. As you go from anterior teeth to the posterior teeth, that curvature becomes less and less. In the premolars, it's almost flat, and on the molars, that curvature in the mesial and distal is already flat. But on the incisors, it's curved. So what do we observe? As I said, these curvatures of the cemento-enamel junction, or CEJ as we call it, it marks the level of epithelial attachment. Of course, the epithelial attachment becomes lower in life as the human progresses in age. But in its healthiest form, healthiest time, the CEJ, it marks the level of epithelial attachment. That means that area, that level where the gums are attached to the tooth. So the epithelial attachment, as I said, seals the soft tissue to the tooth, and the epithelial attachment is vulnerable to physical injury, and the curvatures of the CEJ gradually diminish from the incisors to the molars. So the curvature is more sharp and for anterior teeth like centrals, laterals, and maybe canine. But towards the premolars and molars, it becomes flat. That curvature diminishes. Well, that ends the part 4 of this presentation. In the next part, we will discuss the clinical examples. Goodbye for now. As you can see, in with a tooth with a normal crest of curvature, the direction of the arrow, the black arrows, point to the direction that the food will take during mastication. The food is deflected away from the gingival crevice, from the marginal gingiva, thus protecting those soft tissues. In an area